Welcome to the Bee Shifter Podcast. John Vance and Josh Bloom with you here today. So happy to have everyone along for this edition of the Bee Shifter Podcast. We're well into summer, which has been going really fast here between weather events and a lot of rain and not being able to get out and enjoy the weather as much. It just seems like summer is flying by. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, summer's flying by. Yeah, here in Cincinnati, busy. It's interesting. Just like I think all across the country, we're seeing quite an uptick in EV involved fires at buildings. And then, John, I think like we talked about, and we're going to talk more about it coming up. These recycling plant fires, and some of those are being linked back to potential improper disposal of batteries and so on. So I think over a 5-day period in our immediate response area, there was 5 different large industrial fires at these recycling facilities. And that's no fun because we're not really complaining about it because we choose to live here, but 98 degrees and 85% humidity for the 6 to 8 hour, event is never fun. So yeah, I've been busy around here, and then, Blue Card. So we did the trainer in Phoenix. We did trainer in Cincinnati. They're in Pflugerville wrapping up a class. And then here in a week or two, you guys will be headed to Michigan for, the first of their 2 trainer classes there in the Ann Arbor area. So
yeah, I'm excited to get back there because I actually worked there part-time as a firefighter for a while, and it's good to see departments that I was with, picking it up and carrying on with Blue Card. I think the area in Michigan has a lot of great firefighters, a lot of sensibly aggressive firefighters. Just organizing it in the way that Blue Card does for them, I think, is going to be just a game changer for that region. So I'm excited to get up there and get them started on implementing Blue Card throughout the Washtenaw County area. So that's going to be great. The early bird savings for the conference ends on July 15th. So right now you can save $100. That's only $415 to register per person for the general conference. Plus everyone gets a free subscription to Blue Card, and that's transferable within your organization. After July 15th, the prices go up to the normal prices. What kind of action have we had? And it really looks like the conference is filling up fast, Josh. I mean, this might be a matter of get your seats while you can, because we might end up selling it out.
Yeah, John, I think there's a good chance we're going to sell it out. And really, I mean, the sellout just becomes down to the conference center where we're at, the seating capacity in the space that we have. So it is filling up, very quickly. I think there's like 250 seats left, and it's about 3 months? Yeah, a little over 3 months away. So the general conference going really well. 21 different presenters we got this year. So you'd have an opportunity to as an attendee to see 8 or 9 of them. And then we have 4 different general sessions, including Shane Ray talking about what's going on with these sprinkler controlled fires in big boxes, and now retired Chief Frank Lieb from FDNY doing a general session on mid-rise fires and what do those critical factors really look like and how do those differ a little bit, along with Dan from FSRI giving us a update on, the near miss things they're doing, as well as the latest with all the work that they're doing on the lithium ion battery parts and pieces. And then obviously our Bee Shifter Live podcast Q&A session, and then just a general update from us, what's going on with us, roll out of Silverback Leadership, 3rd edition of Fire Command, the ARF module, the TRT modules, all of those pieces. And on top of that, that lineup. So hazardzonebc.com, you can see that complete lineup. So besides that, we decided this year to start doing a pre-conference workshop, really to capture, give people the opportunity to see the May Day workshop if they couldn't get enough folks together in their own region to do it. So we started that out with 40 seats. It filled up immediately. So we've expanded that. I think we have 100 seats. We expanded it to 100 seats, and I looked at it this morning. As of this morning, there's 16 seats available. So with that said, if you're looking to get into that May Day workshop, make sure you get signed up for that. And again, that's one of those things, we can't expand it too far because we want to stay connected. It's not a lecture series. It's a lot of discussion and group work and really connecting the dots. And then for new organizations coming online or people who are just trying to figure out what's Blue Card all about, we're offering a 3-day Cert Lab pre-conference. So I think we got just 6 seats left available on that, and it's 3 months away. So again, with that, if you come to the full price, $715, if you come to the full 5 days, or if you come to the workshop and the conference, and you get the online. So somebody could get the online $385 value, come to the conference, get certified, and attend the 2-day conference on the back end of it. So we're trying to keep it very reasonably priced. So somebody last week just told me, hey, you're charging $715 for this 5 days. I'm going to get an online. I'm going to come there and get certified and get 2 full days of a conference with 21 instructors. And I was like, yeah. They're like, that comes out to like $6 per training hour. And I was like, yeah. So we're wanting to train firefighters. We're wanting to continue to create thinking company officers and ICs. So the conference for us, we brought it back by the demand of the people who were coming to it in the past, all the way back to when the chief was doing it at Phoenix, right? I mean, it's a place for like-minded people to come together, network, and for us to connect with a lot of our customer base out there and continue to develop the program, because like we always talk about, we stay in a state of constantly fixing ourselves. And what I mean by that is when we get input from a user on what they need, we work on it. So yeah, I'm super excited about the conference. It's coming up. It'll be on us before we know it. So September 30th through October 4th for the full 5 days right here in Cincinnati, back at the Sharonville Convention Center. Excellent location. We got plenty of space there. And then that Thursday night of the conference, again, we're going to do that Third Eye Brewing gathering, which last year was, I think, fantastic. We had 450 or maybe 500 people, I think, ended up, funneling through, and everybody there having a little bite to eat and enjoying some drinks and just talking about, what we do. Not necessarily what we do, Blue Card, but the fire service. So yeah, that was really good. So we'll be doing that again this year. So looking forward to that.
And for the conference too, lunch is provided each day. So we bring in lunch. You don't have to worry about that. There's refreshments available throughout the day. So it's a great venue. That Sharonville Convention Center is just a real easy place to hang out and learn, and it's comfortable. And we really try to take care of everybody while they're there too. So get on it. HazardZoneBC.com. Get registered and save before July 15th. So today we have incident audio. This is always a popular feature on the B Shifter podcast, where we take folks to different regions of the country. I know we get great audio from folks out there, even if it's an initial radio report and follow-up report. Send it to us. We love to share it with the other Blue Card users. We put those up on our social media sites. And today we're going to listen to about a 10-minute clip from the Vancouver, Washington Fire Department. This is a fire that is sprinkler controlled at a commercial building. What can you tell us about this incident before we roll the audio, Josh?
Yeah, so not too long ago, we did some other live audio, I think, from Vancouver. And once we posted it, it kind of triggered them, I think, to say, oh, we have another event here that's, that went well. That's, I don't want to say different, but it was different than the first one that they sent, right? I mean, the first one they had was also ended up as a commercial building fire where they changed strategies. This one, a commercial building fire. It's in one of those buildings. It's like 100 feet by like maybe 400 feet. And it's mixed. There's some shorter tilt slab to it. There's some peaked roof on it. There's some flat roof. It's almost like one of those places that you see. It reminds me of something I see in Florida, like where you have this giant row of a commercial strip mall, if you will, but it's not like the commercial retail strip mall. But you could have a restaurant, and part of it next door could be a boat, repair shop. Next door to that could be a car detailing shop. Next door to that could be, cabinet shop. So more of like a industrial complex where they've put in, this commercial restaurant. So when they sent it to us, we listened to it. Good size up, good follow up report. Right away, they report that they got a sprinkler activation, that they do got a working fire, and not too long before that, they had just been to one of our big box classes. And, during the big box class, Shane Ray talks a lot about sprinkler controlled fires, period, or sprinklered buildings, period. So whether it's a single family home, apartment, a single standing occupancy restaurant, Napa Auto Parts, or if it's a Target, even Amazon distribution center. So we talk about the sprinkler, the factors that we deal with sprinklers. And we know that the sprinkler system, when we pull up, the sprinkler system is either containing the fire or the fire's overrun it. And typically, if that's the case, that there's some kind of problem with the system. So in this case, they had just been to a big box class. They had it in their mind that, hey, the sprinkler system's controlling this thing. It doesn't have beds in it. The occupancy's closed at this point. There's no reason to, run in there. We're not going to treat it like a house on fire. We're going to treat it like a commercial building with a sprinkler system that is closed. The doors are locked. Nobody's in the parking lot. So it's just a good example of an organization evaluating the real critical fire ground factors, applying an appropriate incident action plan to solve the problem, and using the system, the strategic decision-making model as part of the system, and the evaluation of critical fire ground factors, and continually using all 8 functions of command as they go through. And it's a great example of this fire department that everybody understands and knows the system's has been trained. And you can hear that through the communications piece. Nobody's trying to override anybody else. Clear, defined communications. They've had conversation about tactical decisions on different types of buildings and what we're going to do, so that companies can kind of forecast what their assignment may even be. So yeah, we'll just listen to it, and then we'll have some discussion about it afterwards.
Engine 6.
Engine 6 is arrived to a large single-story commercial building. We do have water flow, sprinkler activation. We do have a working fire with smoke banked down. We're going to be in the offensive strategy. Go ahead and check me a second alarm, second off channel. Have all units level 2 stage at station 6. Engine 6 is going to be Charlie's command.
I copy Engine 6, large single-story commercial building, and starting a second alarm at 421.
62, capturing 3 en route.
Squad 6, Engine 6.
Squad 6, go ahead.
You're assigned to Engine 6. All 52, command.
Command, go ahead.
360 is not complete due to size. Engine 6 is going to be parked on the alpha side.
I copy that. Engine 6, alpha side, and you will have ops 5-3 for your second ops 5-3.
Copy, alpha 53.
And Engine 6, did you want me to start an ambulance on this with it being a closed business, or do you want me to just get them started anyway?
Right now, I just want one ambulance for firefighter standby.
Copy that.
Ops 51, or Ops 52, Battalion 2's arrived.
Have 4.
Command, Battalion 2. Command, Engine 8's level 100.
Engine 8, establish a water supply.
ABC, establishing water supply to Engine 6. Command, Battalion 2.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's 14. Understand you've got a sprinkler activation. You've declared a working fire with smoke down to the floor in Charlie's. You've got Squad 6 assigned to you, and you have Engine 8 establishing a water supply to Engine 6. Is that correct? And can I get a CAN report?
That is correct. And on the Charlie side of Charlie's Bar and Grill, we do have broken glass. Engine 6 is ready for reassignment.
Received. Battalion 2 will be assuming Charlie's command will continue the second alarm assignment.
Command, Engine 5 for level 1.
Engine 5, go ahead and get us a drive around. Come on into the complex, get us a drive around 360.
5 copies. Engine 10 level 1.
Copy. Engine 10, stay level 1 out on 112.
Command, Truck 5 has arrived. Truck 10 has arrived.
Truck 10, let's go ahead and have you go all out for a roof report.
All out for a roof report.
Command, Truck 5 is level 1.
Truck 5, go ahead and make your way into the scene, spot to your advantage. Let's work on access to the Charlie's occupancy. If we have a cold smoke fire, our emphasis is going to be on ventilation.
Truck 5 copies. Making access.
Engine 10, bring your crew up and actually stand by Engine 10. Engine 5, command.
This is Engine 5. 360 is complete. The smoke was contained to the Charlie's restaurant.
Copy. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Thanks for checking those occupancies. Engine 5, see if you can locate an FDC for this building. There's an FDC right at the entrance to the complex, but I just want to confirm that it supplies this, the A building.
5 copies. Looking for FTC.
Command, Engine 8 with status change.
Engine 8, go ahead with your status change.
Water supply secure. We're ready for reassignment.
Okay, Engine 8, water supply secure. Go on deck on the Alpha side.
Copy. On deck Alpha.
And info for 10-minute burn timer since this size up.
Command copy, 10-minute burn timer. Engine 6, command.
Go ahead for Engine 6.
Yeah, Engine 6, I'm going to assign you fire control. However, this looks like a cold smoke fire. We're going to be very conservative, and we're going to wait till we've got some better access and better ventilation since it looks sprinkler controlled.
Engine 6, copy. Fire control. Conservative. They do have an heat indicator on the Charlie side. I'm going to make my way to the Charlie side, see if I can get a better visual with my tech.
Copy that. And let's, we'll wait till we get a roof report too. Engine 10, command.
Engine 10.
Yeah, park out of the way, bring your crew up, and go on deck on the Alpha side.
Copy on deck Alpha. Command, Engine 5. We circled the building again. No FTC on the building.
Copy. It must be this FTC out here by the hydrant at the entrance. Will you assist the, or will you make your way back around to this side, establish your own water supply, and support this FTC?
5 copies. Establish your own water supply. Support the FTC. Command, Engine 4 is level 1.
Command copy, Engine 4 is level 1.
Command, Truck 10 with a roof report.
Truck 10, go ahead with your roof report.
With normal demos, we have heavy smoke coming out of the kitchen vent. Other than that, no indicators.
Copy. Is that out of like a kitchen, like a hood vent?
Correct.
Copy. Do you have any natural or any skylights or any openings you can open up real quick up there? Check the attic space.
Negative.
Copy. 10, stand by on the roof. Prepare for vertical ventilation.
Copy. Preparing for ventilation.
Hey, 1623, we're staged.
Copy. 1623.
And training 3, level 1.
Training 3, report to Alpha Division for Alpha Safety.
Copy, Alpha Safety. Command. Truck 5, status change.
Truck 5, go ahead with your status change.
Truck 5 got all exterior access points for Charlie opened up. We're ready for reassignment.
Copy. Truck 5. Copy. Truck 5 is reporting all exterior access points are open. Truck 5, go ahead and hook up with Engine 6. We'll have you be with Engine 6 to assist with fire control.
Truck 5, copy. Fire control, engine 6.
All units on the fire ground, Battalion 1 is going to be Alpha Division. Alpha is going to have Engine 6, Truck 5, Truck 10, Engine 8, and Engine 10.
Command Alpha Division's in place. We're making entry with a 2.5.
Command copy. Alpha's in place, and we're making entry with the 2.5.
Command, Engine 3, level 2 station set up 1 block to the south, or on side 3.
Alpha Division, Truck 10, prior to traffic. Go ahead, Truck 10. We have a heavy smell of propane on the roof. Copy. Heavy smell of propane on the roof. Why don't you guys exit the roof? I think we can do some pretty adequate horizontal ventilation with a bunch of windows if we need it. Copy. We're exiting the roof.
Command from 5-2, or Opside 2 from Command. Can we get Northwest Natural started here?
Affirm.
Command, we're knockdown 10.
Last unit, repeat your transit.
Command, Engine 6, with a
Knockdown 10.
Go ahead, Engine 6. This is Alpha.
We do have knockdown.
We are ready to turn on the sprinklers.
Open up the structure for ventilation.
Alpha copies. You got a knockdown. We're ready to turn off the sprinklers, and we can ventilate. We can give you positive pressure from Alpha to Charlie.
Copy. Positive pressure off with the Charlie.
And we are going to need to come out to recycle.
Copy. Engine 6 is coming out to recycle.
Awesome. Great audio there. Vancouver, Washington, commercial fire at a bar and grill. I know it was a little confusing because going to a place called Charlie's, when you actually have stuff working on the Charlie side, that kind of threw me the first time I listened to it, but they were able to clarify that pretty quick. You know, I think this is a good example, Josh, just starting off with this department got everything in place before they committed themselves to an interior position. So there was a lot going on the front end, and it was very impressive in the methodical way that they handled this.
Yeah, I mean, they evaluated the critical factors and made a decision that they had sprinkler activation, smoke to the floor. Smoke wasn't pumping out of the building. They've had the discussion about what does it look like when there's still a fire in the building. So they had a little time, right? So like, what are we going to do to solve this problem? And as we always talk about in our sprinkler controlled class with big box fires or commercial building fires or whatever, the sprinkler system was going off while you were still laying in bed. So, you know, the water's been flowing for 2 or 3, 4 minutes, right? And it comes back to what Shane Ray says a lot of, again, the sprinkler system was either getting it and containing it, or it's not. And it's going to look like 2 totally different things. We become the overhaulers in most all of these events. And I mean, there's no better time, I think, than for us right now to say, if you don't follow the National Fire Sprinkler Association social media of what they post every day on sprinkler saves, I mean, sprinkler systems are putting out a whole lot more fires than any of us really in our mind think about. And you know, we become the overhauler. So back to this event, Engine 6, great job. I mean, they hit every single point on the size up, and the company officer, was focused enough to know that I'm the incident commander here, and I'm making decisions on the front end of what this is going to look like in 5, 10, and 50 minutes. So besides the initial radio report, given a great size up, calls for the second alarm, great best practice, get the companies coming, and says a level 2 staging location, and says I need a second channel for the level 2 staging. That didn't happen because somebody hadn't trained on that. They have a policy that says this is what we're going to do. They train on that policy. They talk about it. And here they had an opportunity to exercise it, right? So that's like the system worked. So as we were listening to this, I kind of filled out like our Blue Card IC, strategic IC worksheet. And I felt totally comfortable afterwards listening to this, tracking where every company was, what they were doing, what they were reassigned to do, that they were filling out, assignments based off of the critical factors and addressing the tactical priorities. So the follow-up report, command no 360 due to size. Well, they announced that the building is large. They didn't get all the way around it, but that triggered that strategic IC arriving to give that assignment later to somebody to drive around this building. Let me know what's going on and what you see. So that company officer of Engine 6, we talk a lot about size up +3. So they did a great size up, reported their follow-up report. The battalion gets there right behind them. But the size up +3 thing is, what am I going to do? What's the incident action plan look like? What am I going to do with the next 2 or 3, maybe 4 companies if a battalion doesn't get here to transfer command right away? So Engine 8 went level 1 and command knew, Engine 6 at that point, I need to get a water supply, make sure I get a water supply. So before, even though the battalion had called them ready for command transfer, command was still Engine 6 and said, Engine 8, get a water supply. And the battalion knows that, right? It's not like I got more bugles and I'm pissed and I got here and I called you and you didn't answer. It's like, no, everybody's operating within the system. It was very controlled, very organized, following the order model. And then came back and they did a rundown, did a command transfer. So that was really good. Like the whole, what's going on now? What do we need to do? What's kind of happened? So beyond that point, because they hadn't gotten a 360, Engine 5 got assigned. Hey, go ahead and do a drive around. Let me know what you see. Well, what happened with that didn't happen on accident either when it comes to Engine 5 giving that report of the smoke is contained to just the Charlie's restaurant. Because you could tell somebody drive around the building and they're just going to drive around the building. But what does that mean? Why won't you drive around the building on your 360? Well, you're looking for the same things as if you're walking around a 1,000 square foot house. Where's the smoke coming from? Is there fire in other places? Where is the fire? Is there something that's going to change our incident action plan? Are we in the correct strategy? Maybe looking for other water supply component pieces. So Engine 5 did a great job reporting back through a status change that they've addressed the 360 and what was going on. So from that point, other companies started to arrive. So Truck 10 gets there. They give them an assignment for a roof report. And their system, like a lot of them, all in for a roof report. So everybody on that truck is going to be committed to the roof report. They're not splitting the crew. They're not doing something different. Just like when we hear some of these other fire departments say, if they divide companies or what is the focus they're going to do, with their personnel. So that terminology is like, okay, that is that entire company, everybody on that truck. That's what I want. That's what I want you to do. So that was really good. At one point they come back and they talk about broken glass on the Charlie side of the building. So when we looked up this event, this was actually ended up being, looked like somebody probably had tried to burglarize the place and set it on fire. So that broken glass, I'm thinking wasn't from the fire. It was probably maybe where they made entry into this building and then set it on fire. So if you look up Charlie's in Vancouver, there's a whole article on this fire. So from that point, they're getting a roof report. They're getting an attack position set up. Engine 5 gets assigned to support the fire department connection because there's a sprinkler system in there. So we want to make sure that we're always supporting that to make sure that the sprinklers are getting adequate water no matter what to get the correct fire flow. So then command had really filled out the tactical objective pieces at that point and the key positions based on the incident action plan that they started from the very get-go. So then we're to the point of getting that tactical reserve in place. So they got engine 8 assigned, tactical reserve on deck. The dispatch comes back on the channel and gives them that 10-minute timer. So you've been here for 10 minutes. So really, when we talk about it, they'd done quite a bit of stuff in the first 10 minutes. Again, knowing the sprinkler system was flowing, conditions weren't changing, it wasn't getting worse, the smoke was contained inside the building, they were getting the roof report. The company on the roof comes back and says, we have smoke from a kitchen vent. So coming from the hood, okay, well, that's going to be a normal, thing. If we have, there's nothing blocking it from coming out of that space. And if the fire was there, when we talk about it, the sprinkler system's going off. So it's moving around smoke. They didn't say turbulent black smoke. They didn't say, none of that. We heard on, I think, 2 different occasions, them identifying, continuing to evaluate using thermal imaging cameras. So what does that look like on the size up, both outside the building? Saying on the Charlie side, I think I have a heat signature, and then somebody else saying, we've checked and we have it knocked down and we're ready for the sprinkler to be shut down. So, command built out that on deck position further. They're at a commercial building fire, maintaining span of control. New companies had been working for a little bit, wanted to make sure you had people in place to replace them. And then you heard Battalion 1, arrive on the scene with Training 3. So Training 3 probably, some kind of a daytime or home response chief or maybe a dual role safety officer that's on duty. And just as we talk about in our system all the time, fill out those positions however you fill them out. Most organizations don't have somebody driving their battalion around. Well, in this case, the strategic IC assigned Training 3 to be the embedded safety support officer for Battalion 1. So that went really well. So you got 2 people in that position managing, those 2 job responsibilities: accountability, safety, air management, making sure you're in the correct strategy, managing incident action plan, driving down radio traffic, helping us with really breaking down span of control. So the IC here probably could have managed this all the way out until he couldn't, right? Until something happened, until it got, sideways. So at one point he had 5, maybe 6 companies working directly for him. A couple of them were outside on deck, but we're going to run this out a little bit further. And they assigned the division boss with the embedded safety piece. So that went really well. They came back, Battalion 1, you're going to be alpha, and gives them the rundown of the units that are working there. So that they know when they get there, who am I accountable for, who's working directly for me in this geographic area. So, I mean, John, this was another home run example of using the system and following best practice, right? I mean, they didn't pull up in flames, shooting out some windows and we're going to stretch some lines and try to get a handle on this thing right now. They pulled up and the sprinkler system had been flowing for 5, 7, 10 minutes, maybe before they even arrived to the incident. And that's comparable to, we were flowing a hand line for that long. And we know if we're inside of a building flowing a hand line for that long, usually, and we're not making good progress, the outcome is not going to be good. And when we truly understand how sprinkler systems operate and how quick they begin to flow, especially with new buildings and the new sprinkler technology, we got to see that in Minnesota a few times. And it's like, it was funny, people betting it's going to take 3 minutes for the sprinkler head to go off. And they're sitting there holding the conversation. And 27 seconds later, the sprinkler head's going off because a garbage can was on fire underneath of a desk. So we're not going to see huge fires, no different than what we see. I mean, it seems every day now. And I know maybe it's not every day, but target on fire. Well, here's a video from somebody posted on Instagram of it. And it looks like, wow, that's quite a fire. But as soon as, I mean, it's like maybe 2 minutes and the sprinkler system's going off. And then the next thing you know, there's no fire spread, right? So the sprinkler system is doing the fire control piece. And if it's not, there's something wrong, or there's the wrong system in there. And we're probably not going to get ahead of it then anyway. So the sprinkler system in this case designed to contain the fire there and then pre-wet everything around where the fire is to keep it from growing. And again, that's the critical factor thing that we have to consider when we go to these buildings. And that company also did a fantastic job identifying that right from the get-go. We have sprinklers flowing here, which just puts everybody else too, the strategic IC in every company, into that mindset of, we're not pulling up on a house that doesn't have sprinklers. We're not pulling up on a strip mall that doesn't have sprinklers. We're pulling up on a commercial building that's got sprinklers. There is a fire in it. The sprinkler's going off. They didn't describe, crazy smoke coming out anywhere. The fire was contained into a space. So it goes back to, again, everybody being in the same system, training together and reinforcing that behavior. So this is a good one. If you're doing a tailboard or an after action to talk about, hey, engine 6, great job. That's exactly what we're looking for. The roof report, hey, great job describing exactly where the smoke is coming from, because that makes a difference, right? The strategic IC, hey, nice job assigning the division boss and giving them a rundown of where they're going to work. So a lot of things to reinforce here. And I'm sure just like any incident, there's lessons to be learned that that could be done different. So the next thing that I had to hit on as far as this audio, engine 3 keys up, and we hear it on the audio because I think they were running it side by side. Engine 3's in level 2 staging, and we're on ops 53, which was the channel that was assigned by dispatch when the first due company officer that was the initial arriving IC asked for a second alarm on another channel. So right, it's another example of the system working, right? Engine 3 didn't key up. Hey, we're here. I'm in level 2 staging, giving a big dissertation. Engine 3's there. They're the first ones there. They know what their job is. They're to manage level 2 staging. They'll call them on a different channel. It's not going to interfere with anything going on in the hazard zone. So another, great use of the system, and clearly they practice the system. Truck 10, I think a great use of priority traffic there. They're on the roof. They smell propane. Well, something. That's a trigger, right? Like something's going on here. Did it have something to do with, the cooking? Was this building supplied by natural gas? Is it supplied by propane? They know that. But that triggered the strategic IC say, okay, well, get off the roof then. And then the next transmission was get the energy company coming out here. And then we stopped it, and it wrapped up with engine 6. We have fire control, and basically they verified fire control is what they did. There really wasn't even a mop up piece of flowing much water. They verified fire control. We're ready to shut the sprinkler systems down, start ventilation, and we need to recycle. Well, truck 10 was still in there with them and had gotten assigned later to them. So truck 10 is still inside the building. We don't need to send more people in there to do whatever somebody may want to do. So command made kind of the last assignment and last transmission of, okay, well, then we'll start positive pressure ventilation from the Alpha side and push it through the Charlie side. And we stopped it there. So start to finish, A+ for Vancouver Fire Department. And I think a great example for organizations all across the country to use of this is what it sounds like when it goes right. And this fire at Charlie's, again, isn't a house fire. It's not a fire on the 8th floor of the Drury Inn. It's not a fire on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. It's not a fire that started on the balcony. But what it is an example of use of the 8 functions of command, using the strategic decision-making model, which starts with evaluation of the critical fire ground factors. So what is the problem? What's standing in the way of us solving the problem? And then marching through the rest of the process. So yeah, John, great job on this with them.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. A couple of things that I picked up on, which I think is just a tip or a trick. Engine 6 established the level 2 staging area at Station 6, since it was just down the street from this bar and grill. And I know there's been 2 times in my career I've been sent to a fire station for level 2 staging, and that is a great location for level 2 staging because you've got restroom facilities, you can get coffee. It's just a better, more comfortable place. So recognizing, hey, the firehouse is a good location for this level 2 staging area, I thought was awesome. The other thing is the IC actually stated at one point, hey, we're going to slow this down. We're going conservative on this. This is not, so just to reiterate with the crews that hey, it's sprinkler controlled. Let's take our time. Let's get everything set up and get it set up right before we make entry and start our fire attack. So just the IC getting on and slowing it down, I think really helped probably everybody know what that incident action plan was. And then the transition to the Alpha. He did assign Battalion 1 and the training officer to the Alpha side as both the division boss and embedded safety officer. Then at one point, the interior crews were calling command, so they quickly reverted that back to Alpha, which you've got to do, because sometimes those divisions get established while crews are working. So they did that very seamlessly and got it in play. One last thing too is the fire department connection location. And we go to these buildings that have either been added on to, retrofitted over the years, and these fire department connection locations either change or they're augmented with different locations throughout the building. And they wanted to make sure by doing a couple of 360s that they were tying into the correct FDC. So he had them check the building twice to make sure that the FDC that was actually in the yard by the hydrant was the correct one. And, those fire codes are always changing. It seems like we're changing locations of FDCs. It's something we have to be heads up on, especially if we just adopted a new fire code in our area. What's that going to look like in the future? We had an incident last night that I was on where we had a post indicator valve that was tampered with. Well, there's a lot of places that aren't even putting in post indicator valves anymore. So just knowing what's going on with your local code, how those systems work, what it takes to either energize them, keep them supplied, or shut them down is very important. So they made sure they were tying into the right place. This was all before the second 10-minute notification. So all that radio traffic, it seemed like there was a lot that happened in that first 10 minutes to get the incident set up for success. And then that second 10 minutes just flew by once they were doing fire suppression and confirmed that they had fire control. So this was all in the first 20 minutes of the incident. If we let the radio traffic play out, pretty soon Alpha and Command start conferring whether or not they can start releasing companies from level 2 staging. And the IC says, hey, we're just going to hold on to them for just a bit longer. I want to get this place ventilated a little better before we start releasing companies from level 2. And then the incident wraps up. So really nice job, Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. So John, you talked a little bit about the code and all of that. So if you haven't seen Shane Ray deliver fires and sprinkler buildings, the 2-day workshop, we have ample opportunities coming up for that. There's a class in Phoenix in September that's got plenty of open seats. We're going to offer it 5 more times in 5 different locations in 2025. But everywhere we've been, when people leave, it's like the light bulb comes on. Like there's more to this whole system thing than we oftentimes recognize. And we were just at my fire department, we were just on an incident of mutual aid 3 days ago, pulled up, commercial building had been modified. There's 2 FDCs right next to each other. And this isn't a blame thing, but the code, I do believe, requires that, or allows that the fire department say you put the address or what does this supply on the fire department connection. And these were both yard fire department connections that were a couple hundred feet away from the building, which we could give or take with that. I mean, that's and when you hear Shane talk about it, that's not a good idea either. But that's what the code is allowing. But again, the fire department's like, well, which one of these 2 supplies this area where the sprinkler's activated in this industrial complex? And really, nobody could figure it out, including the occupant. So on the front end, there's a lot of things that we can do on the front end of this when it comes to I think prevention that will help us later, along with whether you're using Active 911 or some other kind of pre-plan thing, putting on there, where's the fire department connection at for this building? So pre-planning, that space of where's the fire department connection? If it has a fire pump, where is the fire pump? If we're going to a sprinkler building in Drury Inn, where are all of the valves so we can isolate this thing on fire floors? So just a better understanding of sprinkler systems, because more and more buildings, the number's going up every single day of buildings that have sprinkler systems in them all across the country. And thank God for that, because I think that's one of the big steps that's going to help us maintain and hopefully lower the number of civilian casualties that we have across the country. Because as the fire administrator and FSRI say, the time is getting shorter and shorter for us to be able to get outside of these occupancy spaces because of what's burning. So just a little side note on fires and sprinkler buildings. So we got some more things that we're going to be talking about and doing and pushing out on this on our podcast about protected buildings and how does that differ, and what does it really mean for us, and what's the best practice. And then John, if we can, maybe we can push out that our kind of like big box, kind of tactical priority pieces of make that available to everybody. I mean, even though it's already available, we have a big box SOG of like, what should we do at these buildings? And that's based off of a lot of stuff, Shane Ray talks about and best practice from NFPA, and lining up, all of those components and pieces, because it's different than responding to a building that doesn't have sprinklers in it.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. And the other thing, we've just updated our command worksheets that are now available in the download center for the Blue Card users, and I'll connect those in the show notes as well. But it's a checklist for a fire in a big box. So it helps you slow down, helps you get the resources lined up. 2 companies making entry, 1 company on deck, pumping the FDC, getting a roof and tilt wall report, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just a good reminder, because 80 to 90% of what we go to, residential fires. So when we pull up at that big box fire, that sprinkler controlled fire, it gives us the opportunity to do what this IC did in Vancouver. Take the deep breath, slow down, tell everybody else, hey, we're going to slow this down too, and then go through our checklist. So I'll put those in the show notes as well. All right, Josh, it's time for a timeless tactical truth. Timeless tactical truth from Alan Brunacini. The fire determines the strategy, not the IC. The IC identifies the strategy. Josh, what's that mean to you?
Yeah, so we can identify strategy oftentimes, like in our mind, like if we're pulling up and we see something that's like, yeah, we're in the wrong strategy, as we talk about, and we've talked about so many times. We're in offensive positions during defensive conditions. As a strategic IC or a company officer coming in, I could say something about that. Or as a strategic IC, I could just change it right now without even command transfer, right? Like this is going to have the biggest impact on this event. I need to get the companies out of there right now. They're not seeing what I'm seeing. So, but that happens because, and what this timeless tactical truth means is, what impact is the fire having on the building, right? I mean, that's the critical factor thing. So how much fire involvement is there? What kind of building is this in? And then what kind of resources do I have to solve the problem? I mean, all those things have to go together. And that goes back to the strategic decision-making model. And the strategic decision-making model, again, starts with the evaluation of critical fireground factors. So what are the fireground factors? So it's another slide that we have. We pull up and we have standard conditions. Well, standard conditions are critical fireground factors. We take some sort of a standard action based on that, offensive or defensive. We deploy an incident action plan for some sort of a standard outcome. So we don't get to decide what's going on when we get there. We have to take action based off of what we see when we get there. So again, just saying, we evaluate those critical factors, line it up with what's getting in the way of us solving the problem and working through those critical factors, And do I have the resources to really do something about this? And then we make a decision. Is it offensive or defensive? Are we going inside, or am I in a position where what's lost is lost? So it's going through every one of those boxes and then coming back all the way full circle on that strategic decision-making model is really part of the whole determining strategy.
All right. Great podcast. Josh, thanks so much for being here today. I love the audio from Vancouver. We want to thank them. And again, if anybody has audio you want us to review and share with everyone so we can all continue to learn from this, send it to Josh or myself, and we'd love to review it and have it here on the B-Shifter podcast for all of our folks to get something from and learn by best practices. All right, till next time, thanks so much for listening to B-Shifter.
Thanks, John.